before I even had the back edition on. I'm going back quite a few years. There may be a video on it actually. I couldn't tell you where or when though. But I have my Beretta out here, my 92F, and I was cleaning it. Now the 92F, they don't make it anymore. Some people love them. Some people, oh, I had problems with them. Personally, I haven't never had a problem with it, and I've got so many rounds through that the rifling is almost worn out of the barrel. Now, I can still use it naturally. It's still good, you know, with 20, 25 feet. I'm not going to pick a button off anybody's shirt, but I know I can definitely hit center of mass because I don't really want to change the barrel because the thing runs so damn well. I guess I can just order another barrel from Beretta. I don't know. Anyway, the takedown lever on it, it's got a little latch, and what you do is plastic. You bring the slide back, you lock it, you push the button in, and you turn that little latch down, and then the slide comes off. Well, the latch went too far one day. I don't know for what reason, and a little spring popped out. That little spring. On this floor. Yeah, and you know what this floor looks like. If not, I'll remind you. And it hadn't changed. If anything, it's cleaner now. And it was on that side of the floor as well. So, oh shit! Because the gun's not going to go back together without it. And that spring is basically what it's there for. I mean, so it's not like I can just find a spring. Nor do I have one to go by because I didn't see it come out. So I don't even know what size it was going to be. So I call a place in town, well, not in this town, but in the state. And I called them up and I said, listen, Joe, the takedown spring inside the lever, I said, it popped out, I lost it, I don't know where the hell it is. He goes, oh geez, he says, I don't have any of those. He says, how the hell did it come out? I said, I wish I knew. I said, the lever just traveled too far. You know, I said, it's never done it before. But that's kind of what happened. Yeah. He says, you're going to have to see if you can get a hold of Beretta. So now I'm trying to get a hold of Beretta. Not getting anywhere. Other than going to have to get a hold of one of the dealers. Well, trying to get a hold of a dealer, and a dealer can't order it unless he's a Beretta repair. Okay, so now we're going to find a dealer that's also authorized as a repair for Beretta. Well, I find one. Oh, I can't order that. What do you mean you can't order that? He goes, Beretta has it where I have to put in a minimum order. He says, and I'm not ready to put in a minimum order. He says, and that's not going to make the minimum order. So you're going to have to wait until I get an order together. Now the thing is, this spring is probably, in reality, $1, maybe. However, I know it's going to cost me more than that. But nobody wants to take the time to order that little spring. All right? Oh, I don't want to. I got an order, special order, a spring that costs $1. again, you know, poor business, because if they did, I'd probably still be buying from them. You know, from that company that I was going to order a spring for, because they also sold guns. So I'm having no luck on finding a spring. A couple days later, at night, it was in the wintertime, I came out here with a flashlight. Actually, it was a Surefire, and it's still here. I still have it. I turned on the light and I laid it on the floor. Well, if you lay it on the floor, whatever's there becomes bigger because it's going to cast a shadow. And I got on the floor with it, and I'm laying there with my ear to the floor, and I'm turning the light a little bit at a time. Now we're talking, you know, a few days or so later, you know, and I've been walking around in here, the boy's been walking around in here, who the hell knows? And I really don't know where it fell. I know where I was standing. I know that I'm looking for a spring. I don't know what size spring. I know nothing. And I'm just taking this little light and I'm turning it a little bit at a time while I'm on the floor with my ear to the floor. And sure as shit, about 4 or 5 minutes in, I think I see a shadow of something that looked to be about a ½ inch long. And I said, oh, wait a minute. So I take the light and I start moving it towards the shadow. Sure as shit, it was the spring. It was that little spring, one of those little springs. That's why I said I know where that spring goes, because I got another one after that. I finally got one. I found somebody that had one up in Vermont. So, but if you drop something small on the floor and you can't seem to find it, get a flashlight. It's got to be at dark, at night, dark, black. Make sure there's no lights. Lay it on the floor. Get down there with it and just keep turning the light a little bit at a time. You know. And naturally, the brighter the light, the better the focus, and eventually it'll start to find or shadow whatever it is on the floor, and you're going to start to see it. And if I put that there, that's about 1/4 of an inch long, but in the shadow it looks to be about an inch and a half. See what I mean? If I go this way with it, well, I don't know if you can see it or not, but for instance there, see what I mean about the shadow? I don't know if you can see the shadow there or not, but it's got a shadow. Yeah. Shadow's longer now. Yeah. So if I kept turning this naturally and over this way, the shadow comes towards me. So like I say, you go different angles, different rolls, tilt if you have to, depending on the light. The Surefire was a flat light all the way across, so I got more of a downward beam on it instead of an upward like this one. This one wants to face upward because it's lower in the back. But you kind of get the picture. Anyway, I found it. And when we were redoing the screws and everything, the spring drawer was also out, and I was going through it because I wanted to move it and separate the springs. I didn't realize that I actually dropped that. I knew I had dropped a few little springs on here, and I thought I had most of them, but I didn't know that was one of them. Now I'm going to start paying attention more. And some of the springs the magnet won't pick up, because sometimes I'll get a magnet and I'll start going around with a magnet. You've seen me use it. I've got a magnet about yay long on a piece of bungee cord. Alright, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to solder these. Let me go turn the solder iron on. I can't use the gun in here because it's too big and too hot. and the tip isn't any good, so I'm going to have to cut a tip. One thing about these, they're easy to put a tip on. Now this one you can tell, this is an original tip. It comes down, kind of a little bend, it's got the little flatness up here. But if you noticed, it was getting real hot here. Well, that's because there's a little bend on this, which is not supposed to be there. So the heat is going to heat up whatever path slows it down. It's like going into a curve with a car at 100 miles an hour. You know, you start getting into that curve, the car's not going to make it. So that curve is making you slow down. You know, well, now it's going to tend to either smash or heat up, whatever, with the electricity side of this, not using the car as a scenario, but the electricity is trying to travel to the tip. It's got this little dip in here, so this is where it starts to gather up. And as the electricity and the heat starts to gather, it starts getting hot there. If that was straight, it would go right to the end. Does that make sense to you? But what's good about these, as you can tell, that's because a lot of times you start pushing on it, like that's going to help. I could take this out and just get a good wire coat hanger and bend it to a V and stick it in there, and it'll work. Or a piece of heavy wire, which will also work. That reminds me, I got to get a piece of wire. Alright, so we're almost done with this. Let me take this back out of here now. Put this in here. Put the drill bits back. Now when I show you the one that was bought, what the hell, I keep stepping on it. Well, it could be anything on the floor here. Oh, a piece of wood. Whoa, wait a minute, what's that? Oh no, we don't want that down there. Gotta get the boy's foot for sure. Alright, now, as I was saying, I forgot. Oh, when I show you the antenna that I bought, and again, it's a good antenna. It's just that there's a few modifications that I thought I wanted to make that I feel for my need in my area would be better. So that's why I did it. This is one of those modifications. There's a couple, but this is one of them. And this one, well, they both, two of them can actually cause Danny, I call him, that's his name, is Danny. It's not like I know him personally. Hey, how you been? You know, I only know him on YouTube, and actually only commented a couple of times. We're not, you know, like with the rest of you guys where we comment back and forth all the time. I think I may have commented on one of his videos 3 times within the last year, and him on one of mine maybe twice through the last year. So it's not a big deal. I know where the wife is. For somebody that only had $35 to shop with, it's going awful long. Oh, wait a minute. I told her to take my card. Oh, okay. Mistake. Anyway, the antenna, it's a good antenna. And if you were to buy it, I think anybody can do what I did to modify it. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. I can't show you on the antenna other than the old video I did on it, which is a couple weeks old with no audio, but I can do some narrating. And then I also want to do some, I want to play with the green screen. And what got me started on that, again, I bought it, I put it up, I'll show it to you again how I hooked it up. Uh, and I tried it just to see if how it worked, and I kind of got the niche, you know, on okay, that's how everything works. And then I haven't used it since, and I never really, I guess, perfected it in any way. Um, if that's the perfect it, am I ever going to perfect it? No. But the other day, I was having coffee Monday with Tom, and Tom is a Darth Vader. Um, he does parties and stuff like that. Uh, he made the costume himself. I helped him with part of it here. Some of that is actually on video with a chest plate and some of the box on his belt, but he did most of it. Uh, I only really did some help with the chest plate. He left it here, and I did what I had to do. I made it so that the shoulder plates are connected, but yet they're not going to be stiff, so you can move. And anyway, with all this virus thing going around, he doesn't really want to, and I can understand. I'm going to unplug this from the computer because the computer is just screwing it up. The other one's still going? Yeah, I should have audio. Okay. So anyway, back with the cell phone as well. He decided to get a green screen and start doing it so that you can get a video. For instance, a mother was having a Lego birthday party for one of her kids, and he did a little 4-minute video to where in the world of Lego something or other, you know, and it's all done with Darth Vader and how, you know, Legoland is going to take over and become a land of good and plenties or whatever. I don't know. And then at that point, he can just do that. And he did a real nice job with the green screen. He put on his gear, you know, his costume, and then he did the green screen of the ship and things, you know, different parts of the ship in the background. So it looks like he was walking around in the ship. So he did a really nice job at it. Now he uses a program through Adobe, Adobe Premiere, Photoshop, something deluxe. It cost him like $25 or so a month, and he's been using that, and he's good with it, you know, as far as editing and things. So he was able to fall into this green screen thing pretty good. And I said, you know, Tom, I said, you know what? Now you're getting me started. Because I never really did anything with mine. I got it there to play with it, but I haven't played with it. I says, and Filmora, even though it lets you do green screen, it really does, and I'm happy with it, it doesn't let you do apparently what he does with the Adobe. Well, there's two different things. Adobe is a professional piece, you know, a professional program, where the Filmora is in between, you know, and so there's a lot of things that you can't do with it. It's a little bit more user friendly right off the bat. Let's put it that way. So, but I got to play with that a little bit too. I'll show you what I did over there just to remind you guys, give you a little catch up on what's going on. For some of you guys who may have just, you know, jumped in within the last year, you may not have gone back into the archives and seen what was going on back there. But meanwhile, we'll do that. All right, hold on a minute. I am not going to take you guys with me over there. This is only going to take a minute. So what I'll do is I'll let it run and I'll just edit it out. So how can I give myself an edit point? Okay, and then when I come back, I'll do that. So I'm leaving. You remember? I'm back. You remember that was I'm going, and this is I came back. So I came back. Alright, so what I did was I soldered that wire to the center. I soldered that wire to the case, which is ground, if that's what you want to call it. Let me get some of the crap out of there. There you go. You got to watch what you do with some of these cleaners and plastics. For instance, with some of these new guns and these plastics that are out there, you really have to watch, because you can use brake cleaner on some of the guns. Some of the parts you got to watch out for, but especially your barrels, your actions. However, I don't recommend it. Let me put this over here so the air can dry off. But one time, luckily I didn't use it on the gun. I tried it on a piece of plastic similar to a gun, but I tried using carburetor cleaner. Hold on a minute. I wonder what the hell's going on, an air raid? The town's picking up and vacuuming out all the sewer drains and things after the hurricane, or the storm. It wasn't really a hurricane, but it was a pretty hefty storm. And I'm telling you, and I'll tell you now, you guys as well, if you live in an environment where you get winters and storms, you know, snow and ice, and you have gotten hit with this last storm that came through, there's a lot of trees down, or not down, but there's a lot of trees that were weakened by the storm. And they're not going to have time to replenish or restructure themselves by the winter. Which means expect a lot of trees coming down and power outages, because it's going to happen. Now I know from the experience that I've had with ours in our generator that here we are, good. And how much gas we burn, it kind of gives me an idea what I need to keep on hand. Now I normally keep 30 gallons. I average about a gallon an hour, depending upon the time of day and the usage. You know, like when the freezers and everything are down for a few minutes, naturally your gas consumption goes down. But the more electricity you use, the harder it works, so therefore the more gas it burns. But the most that I burn is about a gallon an hour. I have gone a little bit lower than that when I was out here and we had the this was before we had that little air conditioner unit in there. We had the 3-ton air conditioner going. I had an air conditioner going out here. I had all the power on out here. The TV was going in the house. I mean, so we were really sucking up a lot of power out of that generator. And it went down to, I don't know, we probably went gallon and a quarter, gallon and a half an hour, something like that. So, but for average is about a gallon an hour. And we don't shut it off for much. You know, I may shut it off for a half an hour just so I can, you know, check the oil and do what I need to do. But, you know, it's going to work twice as hard to bring back, you know, everything. Like the freezer has to kick back in. I'd rather keep it going. It draws less once it's where it's at. You know, and then when things start to thaw and refreeze, it's no good either. So we try not to shut it down for any length of time. Like I say, other than just checking it, you know, make sure the oil's okay. If I have to do a quick oil change, I can. I keep, you know, oil here. It's all synthetic oil. The gas, it's always high test.